Hello good people, this is Fisher12 back with another exciting video for you guys today as always, and last night was the hottest party of the summer, so you know what time it is. Let's talk SummerSlam. Now, I would say that the main roster had a lot to prove going into SummerSlam because if you watched NXT TakeOver, I think there was maybe 4 matches on that, or maybe 5 matches. All of those matches were phenomenal. They were all excellent. Even the worst match was way better, or at least on par with some of the better matches from SummerSlam. So even before SummerSlam started, I felt like the WWE superstars of the main roster definitely felt like they had something to prove as to why they are on the main roster and why NXT is supposed to be the secondary brand. Now, all that aside, when the matches started off, I guess they started the first match, which was the Hardys and Jason Jordan versus The Miz and The Miztourage. Someone had said that they started that match when the doors opened, and that just makes absolutely no sense to me. I get it's a long show, but if you were seeing the pictures on Twitter or even just looking at the audience, it was clear that that place was empty. And it's like, why are you having your big stars, the Hardys, Jason Jordan, The Miz? Why are you having these guys open a show to no one? It didn't make any sense. There were without a doubt, there were definitely more people watching the match on the WWE network than people watching in the building. And that really shouldn't have been the case. I remember I think I saw on Twitter that someone had tweeted like, oh, hey, SummerSlam is starting, and that was like my hint to like, oh, shoot, I guess it's time to watch the pre-show. Like, I was expecting the pre-show to start, or the matches of the pre-show to start much later than that and not at 5:30. It just seemed like a waste to put some of your most over talent, the Hardys, on the kickoff show, and the very first match of the kickoff show with no one watching. It just seemed like a disservice to the Hardys, who were supposed to have come back, and like, it's very counterintuitive to everything that you would expect from the Hardys coming back to the WWE, I guess is probably the best way to summarize it. Next, we had Neville versus Akira Tozawa for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, and I don't think this match was as good as their match on Monday Night Raw this past week, and it really didn't make sense, the decision. I don't know why you would have Akira Tozawa win on Monday just to reverse the decision on Sunday. Like, what was the whole point of that? After that match, we had a mini concert from Elias, and this was honestly one of the more entertaining moments of the night. It's interesting that people basically cheer for Elias. It's almost like his tagline should be so bad it's good. Because the only time I think they booed Elias was when he finished his song. And then he goes, oh, what's that? You want one more? And then he plays them another song. I absolutely loved this, because I guess it's like making the best out of something you don't expect to go anywhere. Sort of like the Fashion Police. Like, you didn't expect that to be so popular. At least I doubt anyone thought it would be that over when they were writing the very first episode, and now it's probably the most popular segment on SmackDown. But I also think it is a reflection of their problem with creating face stars. It's that they can't create a good face star for people to get behind, so they get behind the bad guys, even the bad guys, because at least they win and aren't made to look like geeks on TV. Then we had the Usos versus the New Day for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship, and this was a really good match. These guys, the New Day and the Usos, they just have a lot of in-ring chemistry together, and every match that they bring to the table, it's different than the last. You know, I don't necessarily know if this was their best match that they've had, but this match definitely stands apart from some of the other matches that they've had. And by comparison, if you watch the New Day and the Usos on SmackDown, the stuff that they do in those matches is on a much smaller level or a lower level than what they do on their pay-per-view matches. And I very much like that distinction of, hey, this is a TV match, so we're not going to pull out all the stops, but we're still going to try to make it good, versus, okay, this is a pay-per-view match, let's try to make this match, you know, the best match on the card. And I think without a doubt, this is probably the best kickoff match of the year. The one thing that really put a damper on this match for me was the finish. Because, again, it's like, why did you have the New Day win in the first place if you were just going to reverse the decision a couple weeks later and give it to the Usos? And more so, I know I comment on this every single time the Usos have a match because it's, for whatever reason, they're allowed to break this rule. They do a blind tag, they get into the ring, and the ref lets them dilly-dally for more than 5 seconds. And even in this match, the ref starts counting. He gets to 3, stops counting, yells at them for like a minute, and then does 4. Not quite a minute, but like stops his count to tell them to get their shit together, and then continues his count. And it's like, count them out. Let them learn that you can't do this. You can't break the rule. I get that there is a finish and a sequence that they're trying to build, but literally the producer of the match or the agent of the match should be saying, no, you guys can't do this move because it's a violation of a rule. I don't want to get too much on a rant on this because I will literally go on for the entire video just ranting about how stupid it is that the Usos get to break these count-out rules, but no one else does. It's like, why have the rules at all? Anyway, on to the main card now. The main card started off with John Cena versus Baron Corbin, and after this match, I saw so many people surprised by Baron Corbin's booking, and to be honest, the only thing that surprised me is how long this match went on for, because I thought Baron Corbin was going to get squashed by John Cena, because WWE hates when you talk out on Twitter, and I know I've said this before, but Baron Corbin talked out on Twitter. He got like 4 strikes on Twitter. Like, he is absolutely in the doghouse. He's going to lose all of his matches. He's basically getting the Emmett treatment. They don't like it when you talk out on Twitter, and if you do, you get buried. Next, we had Naomi versus Natalya for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I thought this was a good match, too. This was intense, hard-hitting. The girls were moving with a sense of urgency, and you could tell that there was a lot of special spots that they were allowed to do that they otherwise wouldn't have been allowed to do. Like, I forget who it was. I think it was Natalya slingshotted Naomi into the ring post from the apron, and that's something you will never see on TV. Now, even though she lost and I didn't see her getting the loss, I was pretty impressed with Naomi's performance. I think a lot of times I'll look at her and think, oh, she's only the women's champion because she's on Total Divas and they feel like they owe it to her and it's her time and this, that, and the other thing. But after watching this match, it's like, oh, you know what? She's a really hard worker. She's pretty decent in the ring. It makes sense why she's the champion, or was the champion. Next up, we had Big Show versus Big Cass in a shark cage match with Enzo Amore in the shark cage. And I thought this was an extremely boring match. Enzo Amore looped himself up and escaped from the cage. And it's just like, what's the point of having him in the shark cage? What was the whole point? Not only that, it's like the second he got out of the shark cage, he dropped to the ground and got a big boot. I mean, they are straight burying Enzo here, right? They had him stripped down to his underwear, they had him lubed up and knocked out in the middle of the ring. And honestly, if I was any superstar on the WWE kickoff show, I would be mad that this match got to the main show, while my match only made to the kickoff show, because I would say every match on the kickoff show was far superior to this match. Next up, we had Randy Orton versus Rusev, and I thought the beginning of this was just very reminiscent of Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. You have Rusev just attack Randy Orton a lot before the match, you know. I don't think he put Randy Orton through a table, but you get Randy Orton in the ring trying to sturdy himself up. The ref is asking him, can you go, can you go, can you go? He shakes his head, yeah, and then he just, busts out an RKO out of nowhere. And I wonder if something's up with Rusev, because he has gotten just awful booking since returning from injury. He jobbed to John Cena, he lost to Randy Orton in pretty much jobber fashion. Intentional or not, I think WWE is going to turn Rusev pretty much into a Bray Wyatt type of character, where no one finds him believable when he steps out and he says, oh, I'm going to crush you because I am Bulgarian and I'm super strong. Everyone's going to be like, no, you job and you lost and you just, cut the same promo every week and no one takes it seriously anymore. And that's because they're having him job to baby faces that don't need victories. Randy Orton doesn't need a victory to be over. John Cena doesn't need a victory to be over. Neither one of those guys needed to lose to Rusev. If anyone, like, Rusev needed both those wins more so than John Cena and Randy Orton. What'll end up happening is, like, in 2 months, if Jinder loses the title, they're gonna be like, oh shoot, we have no heels to go up against our new babyface champion. Quick, let's give Rusev a bunch of wins over nobody. But we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we had Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. And this was a really good match. Again, I don't know if it was the best match that they've had, but a really good match. Now, I don't think either SmackDown or Raw Women's Championship match was better than Asuka versus Ember Moon from NXT TakeOver, but this was still a good match nonetheless. And I think Sasha actually got hurt during the match, just based off how she was sort of resting her shoulder. It really wasn't down by her side, like just resting. She was almost like holding it close to her chest as to like hold it up and not strain the muscle. And for someone who just won a championship, it was a pretty lackluster celebration. So hopefully she didn't get injured, but my gut feeling is that she didn't. She wasn't just kayfabing an injury. Next up, we had the Demon, Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. And you obviously knew who was going to win this one, Finn Balor. Otherwise, why bring back the Demon and make a big deal about it? This match I thought was just okay. I thought their Raw match was a little bit better. And one takeaway that I do have from this match is that it is okay to give the fans what they want. This was a prime example. This and the reuniting of The Shield are two examples of when you give the WWE Universe what they want, they will respond in huge fashion. And it's again frustrating, like week after week after week, we get these bad bookings, these fluky finishes. It's like, what made like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan and early John Cena so great is that they got the booking that you wanted to see. It wasn't unpredictable booking or booking that created controversy or booking that necessarily got you to want to see what happens next week. It was the booking you wanted to see. And that's exactly what happened here and exactly what happened in the next match. And I think WWE should just take notice. Now, speaking of the next match, we had The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro versus The Shield, or 2/3 of The Shield, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. This match was great. This match was phenomenal. It had an awesome finish. I thought Seth's Hurricanrana on Cesaro into Sheamus was an awesome spot. And Cesaro gets just MVP for going out into the crowd and taking away the beach ball and destroying it. I don't think that has ever been done in the history of entertainment ever. Like a performer going out into the crowd, taking away a beach ball that the crowd is playing with, and then just destroying it in front of them. That was just completely awesome. Then we had Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles for the WWE United States Championship. And again, this was a good match, but I don't think it was their best match. It definitely started off real slow, but finished strong. And ultimately, this match just left questions going into next week's SmackDown between Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens sees a lot of questionable calls. Definitely felt like he should have got the 3 count a bunch of times. It's all a conspiracy. So I'm actually pretty excited to see where this goes. If this turns into, you know, a multi-month feud, maybe there have been different rumors about, you know, Team Shane versus Team Owens at Survivor Series, or a Shane versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. And I think it'd be great if we got both, and this was just a long feud that basically carried the rest of the way through the WWE season. And then we had our WWE Championship match, Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And I wouldn't say this match wasn't awful, but it wasn't a good match. And I thought it was so funny, the reaction that the crowd had. Like, the crowd was so shocked that Shinsuke Nakamura lost. It's as if they haven't been tuning in to WWE programming week after week after week. Like, you knew Jinder Mahal was going to win. He beat Randy Orton in his hometown, in front of his father, and a bunch of other legends. You think that moment was going to, like, if you thought that Randy Orton was going to lose in that situation, but Shinsuke Nakamura was going to win here at SummerSlam, then you're just missing the whole Jinder Mahal picture that WWE is trying to accomplish. Now, I was a little frustrated with how Shinsuke Nakamura lost, because this is his first loss since coming up to the main roster. If you want to still keep him special, the way he loses has to be in such dramatic, unbelievable fashion, and it wasn't. It was very vanilla. It was like, oh, one Singh brother got up to the rope, Shinsuke Nakamura took him out. Oh, another Singh brother got up onto the rope, Shinsuke Nakamura takes him out. Jinder Mahal comes from behind and takes out Shinsuke Nakamura. Who could have seen that coming? And it's like, it would have been better if they had done just something a little extra as opposed to just getting up into the ring and trying to attack Shinsuke. You know, if maybe they did some sort of like fake out, you know, ref distraction, steel chair hit, or something a little bit more than just a simple basic distraction, I feel like could have still given Jinder Mahal the win and saved Shinsuke Nakamura to not look like he was jobbing to Jinder Mahal. And last but not least, we have our main event, the WWE Universal Championship match. Braun Strowman versus Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. And this match was a fantastic match. This may even be match of the year for WWE. I definitely think it's one of the better matches that I've seen from them all year long. Specifically talking about like this season after WrestleMania. I don't necessarily think it was better than AJ Styles versus John Cena. But everyone looked strong in this match. The crowd was loving everything Braun did, and I felt like they did a good job of setting up a potential Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman match. If I had one complaint, I think Brock being taken out on the stretcher was a little unnecessary, because I think it adds this element of unfairness to the victory, because essentially he got to take a break and leave the match while everyone else kept fighting. I felt like you could have still accomplished the same thing if you just left him out there unconscious by the announce table. But I really liked the finish, because it was a finish where you were like, oh no, is Roman going to win? He just hit 3 Superman punches on Brock Lesnar. I hope this doesn't end like I don't want it to. And fortunately enough, it didn't end. Brock Lesnar won, which, like I said in my predictions video, you had a feeling that was going to be the case just with how open they were being about hinting about leaving, and the time frame that Brock Lesnar has to another UFC match. There was just no way that he was going to lose. Oh, and being booked for, I think, tonight's Raw, and being booked for the No Mercy pay-per-view, it just didn't seem like he was going to lose and leave. But that was all of SummerSlam. I thought this was a decent pay-per-view. Lots of title changes, definitely some good matches. Maybe they're probably their best pay-per-view of the year so far. It's hard to compare to the NXT TakeOver show because this show was significantly longer, but I bet if you took however many matches NXT TakeOver had, 4 or 5, if you took the best 4 or 5 matches from SummerSlam and you compare them to the best 4 or 5 matches, or all the matches from NXT TakeOver, I think you would find that NXT TakeOver was a better pay-per-view. But I am curious to hear what you guys thought of this pay-per-view in the comments down below, so let me know what you guys thought were the best matches, the worst matches, your favorite matches. Did you like the booking? Did you not like the booking? What are you looking forward to in upcoming feuds? I would say, for me, the best match was either the Fatal 4-Way or the Raw Women's Championship. Maybe the SmackDown Championship, I'm not sure. Now, for worst match, I guess you gotta give it to Orton and Rusev because their match was all of like 10 seconds, but aside from that, because in my mind that was more or less a no contest almost, Big Show and Big Cass definitely takes the worst match. They really shouldn't. They should be done with that feud. They should just get rid of it. I really don't want to see anything else come from it, and hopefully we don't. But like I said, guys, let me know your comments down below, and that will unfortunately bring us to the end of today's video. So if you enjoyed it and want to see more, then click on that subscribe button. But other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and take care.